I'm drawing a line in the fucking sand here. Do not read the Latin.
Klaatu, Verada,
Today we're going to be struggling and attempting to turn this little guy into a Necromonicon. Now, I have done this before with a very similar photo album. Oh, are you wanting away? And I turned it into the spellbook from Hocus Pocus, which is now happily sitting up there. It took me months because I procrastinate and don't know what I'm doing most of the time. And that is essentially what this is going to be. So join me while we struggle together. Me looking for motivation? Am I right?
Scotty? Hey, come here, I want to show you something. Scotty, don't!
Can you not? So what we want to do with this is squeeze in the glue. And I might need both hands for this. Should have probably put the glue in before the water, but hey, it doesn't look as cool. Let's be real. I have one very confused cat here. So let's mix this and see how we go. Make sure you get it everywhere. What's my aesthetic? It's if Christine McConnell lived in a skip. Okay, it's looking good. Needs more glue. The more your glue farts, the better. It is a known fact that it sticks better if it farts a few times. Don't eat that, thank you. Are you judging my setup? So for anyone that's ever... Hi, excuse me. Hi. Do you mind? Thank you. Hello. Okay, so for anyone that's ever done any paper mache at all, you'll know you need the cheap, super cheap paper. Ideally something without any pattern at all. I couldn't get that, unfortunately. This does have a bit of a pattern, but it is super cheap and I'm not hoarding it, I promise. And it's 2-ply. So we want to separate that, rip it into little pieces. Essentially what we're doing is going for no seams here. Build up the layers, then we start to be creative. So this first part's really boring. It's really, really dull, but it's really easy. So pour some wine, or whatever your vice of choice is. And blast some tunes and get into it. So what you can see me doing here is I'm separating the layers. I am tearing all the bits into little pieces and speeding up the entire process because it's really dull, and if you don't know how to rip up paper, maybe this isn't for you. Laszlo helping. Fun fact, Laszlo has stepped in more paint than I've ever actually had on a brush. If you have a habit of trying to get everything neat and tidy, throw that away, put it in the bin, put it in the sea, because this is as slapdash as it gets. This is more Laszlo cam. Excuse me. So the Necronomicon Ex Mortis. This is of course from Evil Dead. Well, this version of it is from Evil Dead, but it was first taken from the works of H.P. Lovecraft, and its first appearance was in the story The Hound, and that was in 1922. So there are many variants of the book. In The Evil Dead, it was the Naturan de Manto, which was a copy of the original Necromonicon, and the real book was shown in Evil Dead 2. Arguably, Evil Dead 2 is the real Evil Dead. Fight me on it. Army of Darkness also has the Necronomicon from medieval times, which is a different type of book again. So how many Necromonicon Ex Morti? So the book is essentially it's a gateway, and as we're told in the movies and the series, the book itself isn't the source of evil, but it can bring forth evil from the underworld, and it's incredibly dangerous in the hands of true evil and true stupidity. So when I was constructing this ear, all I could think about was that fantastic scene in Reservoir Dogs, maybe one of my favourite scenes in movie history, where Mr. Blonde has just sliced off that ear and he's waving it about like a trophy. Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Michael Madsen's one of those actors who I'm convinced would be an actual gangster if he wasn't in movies. He just has that look about him like, you know, he knows where the bodies are buried. Not pictured here is the sheer amount of wine I actually got through that night. I was having some me time, and me time turned into, well, you'll see the results in the morning. Don't drink, kids. Yeah, I would say don't drink, kids, is probably good advice. Don't eat, kids, either. So that is the end of day one. I get changed into my pyjamas. I am watching The Possession. So far so good. And we will reconvene tomorrow. Alright? Good night. Morning. It's the following morning. And I'm going to continue with this until I'm kind of happy with what's going on for the base. This is it's the boring bit. The best bit is when you start to paint and you start to see it come together. And the sun's out, and I feel a little rough. Alright, let's get going. So this is really dull, this part. We're basically making Shrek shit green. So as you can probably see, this base coat is, we're getting right into all the nooks and crannies here, because the idea is we're going to dry brush this and really enhance all that texture. Very helpful. 10 out of 10. Thank you. The reason I went with a green undertone, as subtle as it is I knew I was going to use a lot of warm tones over the top. And even though this is supposed to be made from flesh, it is dead flesh, it is demonic flesh, it is evil. Okay, so it's day 3. I'm about to get in with the more detailed painting now. I've laid down the base coat, it's fully dried. I've been at work all day, I'm exhausted. Hey, any of you ever been ghosted by someone? And I was thinking about this earlier. Have you ever been ghosted by someone, whether it's a love interest or a friend or whatever, and you're not really sure what you've done wrong, and you know that they're not going to get back in touch? I've decided, for my own peace of mind, you pretend that you're Haley Joel Osment in The Sixth Sense, and that person was actually a ghost, and you just helped them cross over. And you can feel good about it, you know? Start this stippling technique and it just looks shit. Shocker, I'm not a professional, so everything that I do creatively, I tend to do it because it's something that I want to have. I just want to own the thing and I don't want to pay for the thing. That's where most of my motivation comes from. I also like to try stuff just to see if I can, which arguably isn't the best reason for doing things, but here we are. This has inspired me. I might do maybe something more Ed Gein themed or something. Well, maybe not real life. Let's maybe look at maybe Texas Chainsaw Massacre or something. Perhaps an ear necklace or a nipple belt, a toe ring. I'll stop. Has appeared in many other works since, but arguably Evil Dead universe has really made it its own. The cover of the book is made from the flesh of the damned ones and was written with human blood. The inside of mine is not written with anything, in fact, blood or otherwise, and it's actually very handy to keep your recipe cards, whether it be for food, hexes, curses, anything you want. Feel free to tell me how shit it looks in the comments. There we go, necking some wine, straight from the bowl, actual tramp. So I ended up really liking the back portion more than I liked the front. So if I was to redo this, which I probably will at some point, I think I'd make the face more off-centre, maybe make the eyes a little bigger, maybe probably do something a little bit more interesting along the spine. As you can see on the Hocus Pocus book that I put human fingers down the spine, not actual human fingers. Couldn't find enough of those. Made some human fingers for down the spine. So I can probably make this my own a little more and embellish it with some more parts. Maybe some teeth, that would be kind of cool. I've seen some quite nice techniques making teeth out of acrylic nails, or even just the plastic, you know, the tips. You want this one?
I didn't realise you were taking
This one?
Food.
Another film that has greatly inspired me was The Cabin in the Woods. which they did a fantastic job at parodying Evil Dead with the old Latin trope. I happen to like reading the Latin. Summon a friend, banish an enemy, brove some evil in the garden of nastiness. So anyone else losing their mind over the last 12 months? I've been alright. I've been working full time, which, let's just say I didn't need any help losing my mind. It was gone. The idea of a Book of the Dead has been referenced and parodied countless times through cinema. One of my favourite films of all time, The Mummy. It's just a book. No harm ever came from reading a book, Mr. O'Connell. And we all know how that one ended. You don't want these juicy mummies running around. Although juicy daddies is another thing. Whatever happened to Brendan Fraser? Bring him back. Whatever. I'm particularly fond of the flying Necromonicon. I like the nod to the Holy Grail. You have chosen unwisely. So this isn't a difficult process at all, and it's not a particularly lengthy one to do it. It's just a lot of waiting to dry for layers in between and stuff. The good thing about this version of the Necronomicon is that it's there isn't really one design to choose from, so I just kind of went with a few different sources and then just tried to make my own a little bit. So fun fact, my day 3 was actually days 3 and 4 because I had something of a meltdown. My memory card was full and no matter what I did I could not get my camera to connect to my laptop. And after about 20-25 minutes of getting really angry, really tired, it suddenly occurred to me that I actually have a dedicated memory card slot in my laptop. I couldn't tell whether to be more angry or just feel really stupid. I did both. And I truly felt like a fanny. Groovy. Well, thank you for sticking to the end of this shit show. This is my first video and you can probably tell I have struggled. How do I end it? Disgusting!